Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering Raybearer, chapters 14 through 17. In these chapters, Tarisai's memories are forced back upon her, and she does the unthinkable and stabs Dio, and everything is terrible. Welcome to Unspoiled.
Akabiole, wunde sa mina walio. Akabiole, wunde sa mina walio. Wunde sana, wunde sa mina walio. Akabiole, wunde sa mina walio. Akabiole, wunde sa mina walio. Wunde sana.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
I'm Rashawn, and I'm having a mild panic attack.
I'm like, Rashawn's distracted. What's going on? Did you read chapter 17?
I read 14, 15, and 16.
Didn't the thing I said, the thing I sent you was 14 through 17.
Mother fucking fuck.
God damn it. I spoiled a massive thing. This sucks.
Fuck. All right. Do you want to read me that last chapter?
I mean, nah. Now I told you what happened.
But I don't know how it happened. I don't know any other details. And it's still really early. I don't know anything else. It's a little bit of a spoiler. But you can read
little bit.
You can read me the last chapter.
All right. All right. I even sent you the thing.
You did send me the thing, and I even have it written down, 14 through 17. And then for some reason, my brain was like, no, that means chapters 14 through 17. So 14, 15, and 16. I don't know. I'm so sober, too. It's not even like I'm high or drunk or anything. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. God damn it.
Man. So do I start by reading it to you?
Yes. Let's just get into it. Let's just dive into it.
Oh,
and then we'll talk about everything. We'll just dive into it.
This is gonna be rough, kids.
The first show back. The first show back from vacation is always a little rough. Off the game. All right.
I noticed as I was like doing the intro that you were not looking at me and were scrambling, and I was like,
I'm
what
looking.
is
I'm
happening?
I'm like listening to you, and I'm just like, wait. She does what? No, you didn't. Oh my God. And then All right, go ahead.
All right. I'm just going to, and by the way, this is going up as is. All of this nonsense, I'm just leaving it in. So everybody listening gets to hear my horror in real time. All right. Chapter 17. The last chapter ended with, "You don't belong here," whispered the pit flames, shadows dancing on my siblings' faces, and you never did. So chapter 17 begins. When the palanquins returned to Yoruba Keep, my council siblings were clumsy with honey wine. They slept fully clothed on their pallets, snoring in heaps of jewelry and wax-dyed mantles. I lay among their sweaty bodies, watching their chests rise and fall. Dio's breast tickled my neck. I listened to the guards change watch as the night grew old. I waited. I had promised to wake Sanji once the others were asleep. He lay on the edge of the sun and stars floor mosaic, backlit by the arched windows. All night his fingers had searched for mine at the festival, restless and tender. I had teased him into chalice after chalice of honey wine, pretending to drink with him. Now, as he lay across from me in the banquet hall, he spoke drowsy messages through the dark. "Promise you'll wake me up when it's time." "I will," I replied. Sanji fell asleep, his mental guard down, and I stole into his thoughts. He was dreaming of Enitawa's quiver. I tried to make myself crawl over to his pallet. I tried to feel something, anything. But cold emptiness spread like fog through my mind. and I shook Dio awake instead. My lips caressed the burn scar on his jaw. He roused, confused, and I held a finger to my lips. I pulled him up, and hand in hand we wove around the sleeping bodies, slipping from the banquet hall. We stole through sleeping corridors, bare feet pounding on stone. Tar, what's going on? Dio yawned. I didn't reply, snatching a torch from its sconce and hurrying down a staircase. He puffed to keep up. Are you all right? Is someone hurt? He sounded distant, an echo in my head. Enitawa's quiver, I told him, rounding a corner. After several drinks at the Nuina festival, Mayazatel had revealed the tree's hiding place. A passage ran through the bowels of the keep, circumventing the guards and leading outside Yorua. Dio stopped dead in his tracks. I glanced back at him impatiently. His pupils were dilated from sleep and disbelief. He wore nothing but trousers and a linen shirt undone to reveal his collarbone. Tar, he whispered. What? I asked. Isn't that what you want? His gaze searched mine, shy and vulnerable. I don't know. It's what's expected of us, but then I saw you with Sanjeet, and I thought... You thought wrong, I said, seizing his hand and sweeping down a narrow staircase. We passed through a heavily barred door into a passage beneath Yorua Keep. As we charged into the damp darkness, Dio noticed my torch. Aren't you afraid of fire anymore? No, Dio. The flames snickered in my ears. Not anymore. According to Mayazatel, the passage let out onto a mossy plateau, shielded from outside view by an outcrop of brush and sharp boulders. Before long, a breeze teased my face in the passage. I hung the torch in a niche and stepped out into the open. A single tree grew in the plateau's center. It had a slippery, pale trunk with branches like twisting arms, tinted purple as they reached for the sky. A soft, high moan shivered in the air as Enitawa's branches sang, heavy with the secrets of lovers who had rolled beneath its shadow. The ground was spongy beneath my feet, damp with a bed of ochre leaves. Come, I said. Run, Dio. A dim voice struggled to rise in my thoughts like a seabird keeping abreast in a storm. Come here. Run, Dio. Run, please. I don't understand, he said, but drew near anyway. When I stroked the raised scar on his jaw, he relaxed into my touch. Words seemed to escape him as my fingers traced the veins in his neck. I explored the bones beneath his warm skin, admiring their weakness, marveling at how easily they could break. Dio, get away. Run as fast as you can. The voice was wheeling, drowned out by waves and crashing thunder. My fingers were steady and cold as they peeled off Dio's shirt, caressed the obsidian mask, and danced across his bare chest. He stiffened. Tar, he whispered, there's something I should tell you. I don't think I want sex. Ever. And I don't mean with you. I mean with anyone. Girls, boys, anyone. He stared at the leaves on the ground, smooth brow furrowing. I mean, I've had crushes before. On you, on Jeet, and some of the others. I've just never been interested in the sex part. Sometimes I wonder if I'm broken. You aren't broken, protested the voice inside me. You're the kindest, most loving person I know. Run. Live. But I am crown prince, he continued, grimacing, and I have to have heirs someday, so I guess if I could choose anyone... There is no choosing, I intoned. There were only suns and moons, demons and wishes, curses written into the stars. He sighed. Do you love me now, Tarisai of Swana? She did love you, I whispered, but she wasn't strong enough. Then the girl under the tree, The one who shared my face and voice plunged the silver knife into Dio's stomach. Don't look. We are 12 years old, sitting side by side in a palanquin as it ambles through the Olawan City Imperial Square. Dio peers through the embroidered window flap. I wrestle him away, ignoring his protests as I clap my hands over his eyes. Don't look, I tell him again. Why? Dio's head nestles against my neck, tickling me with his soft curly hair. He thinks I'm playing a game. He laughs a warm gurgling sound. Through the window flap, guards lead an old woman in white rags through the square. Her hair hangs in matted clumps. Onlookers spit and hiss as she is forced to climb a platform. Traitor, traitor. Her bruised knees shake. Let me go, Tar, Dio whines. I never get to see the city. It's not good. It's an execution. Well, I've got to see one someday, he retorts. Please, Dio. My throat is dry. The woman on the platform kneels, forced to lay her head on a wooden block. Please don't. Why? The hollow thud of imperial drums fills our ears, pulsing beneath the crowd's roar. You think I'm weak, don't you, Tar? Just like everyone else does. No. I think you're too good. I hold Dio close as hazy noontime light glints on the executioner's axe. You think people are kind and soft and pretty. The axe falls, and blood runs from the platform to pool on the paved square. I'll make it true, Dio. When I'm grown up, I'll make the world better, just for you. But for now, close your eyes. He sighs into my chest, and I bury my face in his hair. I'll keep you safe, Dio. He gasped as my knife slid into his side. We fell together to the leaf-carpeted earth like the lovers for whom Manitawa's quiver was intended. He gaped up at my unseeing eyes, his features contorted in agony. Tar! Will you come home now, Mother? My voice was a monotone. It's so lonely in Bikina House. The servants won't touch me, and I don't have any friends, and I hate it when you leave. Please come back. I blinked, suddenly very, very tired. Mother? Where was I? And why was it so cold? Bikina House wasn't drafty. The tutors had boarded up my windows. No, I didn't live there anymore. Mother had sent me away to Olawan with Kathleen and Wu-In. Then the fire happened, and it was all my fault. I had been responsible for protecting Dio. He had trusted me. Everyone had trusted me, but they shouldn't because I was a demon, and Mother had sent me here to... Every hair on my neck rose as I registered the person in my arms. No, I said. A scream worked its way up my throat, but came out as a croak. No, it's not. You're not. Stay awake, Dio. It's over now. I'm back. I'd never let anything hurt you. I wouldn't. Damn it. Damn it. I sobbed, pawing his face. I didn't dare touch the knife. He watched me hyperventilate. You remembered, he said. Don't talk. Rest. I'll get help. His words didn't make sense. My tears were a torrent. My ribs shuddered with each breath. You missed my heart. He smiled, voice gurgling with blood. That means you're stronger than her, Tar. What's that supposed to mean? I breathed. Dio, stay. His eyes fluttered closed. No. I wagged my head, baring my teeth at the sky. No. I don't care if you're the storyteller. I hate your stories. Kill me instead. Doesn't that make more sense? Write something better. I'll give up anything, anything. Tears ran into my open mouth as I pressed my ear to Dio's bare chest. The dimmest of heartbeats pounded against my cheek. Anything, I said, and felt the uneasy sensation of a sealed promise. A footstep crunched behind me. Then I turned and locked eyes with a stiff, horrified face. Sanji stood over me in his wrinkled black festival clothes. Thank Am, I said. Gee, we have to get help. Dio, he... Sanjit's hand clamped over my shoulder hard enough to leave a bruise. He wrenched me away from the tree, and I toppled, stunned. He knelt, shielding Dio's body with his broad back. "Little brother," he said, "don't sleep. Don't you dare sleep." Avoiding the knife's hilt, Sanjit's fingers ran precise patterns across Dio's side, assessing the failing organs. I began. "We need help. You shut up," Sanjit rasped. "Just shut up and stay back." "Jeet," I whispered, It's not what you think." "Who are you?" Sanjit asked. His quiet voice was more ominous than any roar. When he looked at me at last, his eyes were wet and savage. "What are you?" "I don't know," I sobbed. I don't know. Dio needed help. My mind raced. He couldn't be moved without making it worse. We needed a miracle worker. I flung the ray back towards Yorua Keep. With difficulty, it traveled through the stone. My temples pounded with pain by the time I found Kira. "Dio's hurt," I said as her mind woke up groggily. "We need you. Don't wake the others. Hurry." "Kira's coming," I told Sanji as my mind guided her to Anitawa's quiver. I could feel Kira's panic through the ray. She barraged me with questions. "Just come," I begged, adding to myself, "Come and don't hate me." At last, Kira stumbled from the murky passage into the clearing. "Where?" she panted. I pointed at Dio and said, "Please." The color drained from Kira's face. "Am, have mercy," she wailed. "An assassin infiltrated the keep? How? Why didn't the ray protect him?" "Stay close to me," Sanjit snapped. He reached for Kira, casting a searing glance my way. I nodded, keeping my distance. Kira wasn't mine anymore. Demons didn't have best friends. Kira coaxed Dio's head onto her lap, muttering prayers. Her hand trembled as they clutched the tassels of her prayer scarf. Sanjit found Dio's shirt and bunched the fabric into a tourniquet. "On 3, Sanjit said curtly, and Kira looked sick, but nodded. He counted and pulled out the knife. As Dio's blood soaked the tourniquet, Kira raised her veiled head to the moon and sang. Basid chants resonated in the throat, packed with power to cross miles of desert sand. Kira's song soared into the night, so strident I could see the notes winding around the stars. She sang lullabies to slow the rush of blood, high-pitched trills to scare away infection, basket-weaving rhymes to knit the flesh together. But her last and longest chant was a mother's plea to a restless daughter, a song to keep a soul in its body. No rubies for my baby's head, no satin for her feet, no castles can I offer her, no princes dark and tall. But wandering girl, come find your bed, sheets pressed with purple flowers, for castles have no camel's milk. My kiss is a baby's crown. Kira crooned the song over and over, her homesickness pouring into each note, until blue tinged the pre-dawn sky. Sanjit pressed his hands on Dio's side, repeatedly searching for weaknesses and telling Kira where to direct her healing song. At long last, they sagged with exhaustion. The organs are intact again, Sanjit said, still weak but getting stronger. He needs rest, lots of it. But you pulled him out of danger, Kira. He clapped her shoulder, his eyes glistening. Thank you. We'll have to carry him back to the keep, she said hoarsely. We have to be careful, but between the 3 of us, she will not touch him, snapped Sanjit. Why not? Kira blinked, still disoriented from hours of chanting. She glanced at me, then up at the tree. What happened here? Tar, were you having a dalliance with Dio? But I thought you liked... She trailed off, noticing the tension between me and Sanjit. Great Jeet, did you stab Dio because you were jealous? Jealous? Sanjit barked a laugh, and the sound pierced my stomach like a spear. What for? The love of a monster? Tell me what's going on right now, Kira demanded. Don't make me call the others. I tried to kill Dio, I said. Now, for the first time, Kira noticed Sanjit's dry, clean hands and my shaking, bloody ones. She took in the tears and mucus streaking my face. "You didn't," she said. "You couldn't." I said nothing. "You're scaring me, Tar. This isn't funny. Am's story. Say something." "You should tie me up." I held up my wrists. "The cellar beneath the keep kitchens has a lock. Put me there. Tell the others I'm sick, that I need to be quarantined. When it's properly morning, I'll have a guard smuggle me to the nearest lodestone port. I'll go somewhere far, a place I can never hurt him again." Kira's face contorted with horror. "I'm half Eru, Kira." The words came out as mangled as any Tawa's branches. Mother had 3 wishes. She gave one to me. I had to obey. I've resisted all this time, but she found me and I had to give in. I shook my head. I sounded like a mad woman. But I had to make her understand I couldn't lose her. Not Kira. And as for Sanjit, the phantom of his lips brushed against mine. How could that same mouth call me monster? "I can explain," I said, stretching out my hands again. "Please, let me show you." Both of them were still. Sanjit's jaw hardened, and he placed a protective arm around Kira. "If we touch you, you could steal our memories," he said, "like you used to steal mine in the children's palace." For a moment, I floated above my body, watching the scene from above. The crown prince of Eretzar barely breathing, Sanjit and Kira huddled together, shielding Dio from the demon. The girl sniveling and stammering excuses. Even now, she was pretending to love them, pretending to be sorry, to know what it meant to have a family. Looking in from the outside, I would have banished that girl to the trader's block in a heartbeat. My palms beaded with sweat, but I wasn't pretending. Was I? Every mask, every Tarisai I had ever been, scattered in the dark puzzle pieces on a vast floor. The recluse of Bikina House, willing to kill for her mother's touch. The prince's favorite, meddling in the minds of other candidates. The protector, carrying Dio from the burning children's palace. The high lady judge, making empty promises to Yuin. The lover, crossing a fiery pit for a brown-eyed boy. They were all true. All of them. How could I pick which one to believe? I was a monster, yes, but I could not let that be all that I was. Not now. I dried my hands on my wrapper. "I never stole your memories," I corrected Sanjit. "I only took your bad dreams." "You should have let me keep them," he said. "You were the only nightmare." Kira left Sanjit's side. She searched my face, looking for the Tarisai she knew, the girl who had giggled with her on the children's palace rooftop, the girl who had cornrowed stories into her hair. "I'm still here," I spoke. Kira placed her cool, soft palm over my bloody one. She seized Sanjit's hand, too, so he was forced to listen. My story poured into them both like rain, making up for lost time in rivers and floods. When they had seen all of my memories, the Eru, the lady's murderous wish, my self-inflicted amnesia, Kira was still frowning, but she didn't stop holding my hand. "Can you control it?" she asked. Bags puffed under her eyes, and her face was wan in the morning light. "Be honest, Tar, can you keep yourself from making the lady's wish come true?" "I'm not sure," I admitted. "I could make myself forget again, but that only worked until Mother found me." And she would find me again. She would always find me. My temples grew clammy as Melu's voice echoed in the air. "Until you grant her third wish, neither you nor I will be free." Melu's name jarred in my thoughts, awakening after so many years. My father, the Eru, bound to that savannah until I killed Dio. "I have to go back to Swana," I gasped. "Why?" Kira asked, frowning. "Won't your mother find you there? Isn't that where she lives?" Yes, but only Melu would know how to break the curse. He can't free himself. He can't leave that grassland, but maybe I could free us both. Kira's lips pressed together. I'll come with you. You can't. What if Dio needs you to sing? He barely made it through the night. Swana's 4 lodestones away, Kira countered, not including the time you'll have to rest between. You'll be feverish with council sickness by then. Suppose you don't make it back. Then our problem's solved. Kira glared at me, bottom lip trembling. Don't you dare take the easy way out, Tar. What would Dio do if you died? Live, I spat. He would live. No, you'd just be killing him another way. I'll go, said Sanjeet. Kira and I turned to stare at him. He was expressionless, a soldier volunteering for a thankless duty. I could no longer envision the tenderness with which he had fastened a gift around my ankle. The cowrie shell still dangled against my foot, cold as bone. You don't have to, I said. I know, he growled, but I will, for his sake. He lifted Dio onto his shoulders and disappeared down the passageway. Before they vanished, I memorized the curl of Dio's hair, the breadth of his nose, the slope of his narrow back. I may never see him again, I whispered. Maybe not, Kira said, but you aren't a monster, Tarisai, no matter what Sanjeet says. I sobbed as she stroked my back, rearranging the heavy yarn braids that hid my face. I don't deserve you, I said. Too bad. Kira gave a tired smile, because none of us will give you up without a fight. Dio's probably forgiven you already. He doesn't know how to hate anyone, not even a murderer. But do you think the rest of our council will? She chewed her lip. I think it would be best if they didn't know. Not right away, anyway. But they'll understand. Well, everyone except... She looked wearily in the direction Sanjeet had gone. You know what happened to Sindil. I nodded, swallowing hard. Sanjeet had almost lost his little brother for good again, and it was all my fault.
Wow. Wow.
So like I said in the intro, everything sucks.
Sad. That is so sad. Oh. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. Oh. Wow. That was beautiful, but it was really sad.
Yeah. I remember reading this the first time and just being like, no. Oh. Like the whole time. Just like every step of the way, I was just digging my heels and like, she's not going to bring Dio out there. No, she's not. Well, okay, she brought him, but she's not going to stab him. All right, fuck. She stabbed him, but nobody's going to find out. Fuck, Sanjeet is here.
I thought that he was going to hear the other voice in the Ray telling him to run and that he was going to run. Like, I was afraid that she would be outed and that would be, like, the big conflict, you know.
Gotcha.
That they discovered that she had, like, attempted it. But, and he's telling her that he doesn't think he wants to have a sexual relationship with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
we've
wild.
got some asexual representation in this story.
Right? You never get that. Well, I don't know if you never get that, but you feel like you
rare.
rarely get that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you guys.
There are lots of characters that I feel like can be read as ace, but it's never really like explicitly talked about.
To come right out and say it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the lady is the worst, y'all.
I know.
Like, I thought that, I don't know. I thought that, I'm not sure what I thought, but I had ideas. I had crazy ideas. And I thought that the lady I don't want to say a good guy, but I thought that there would be sort of a redemptive thing happening, and maybe there might still be. But for right now, she's just the fucking worst. She's just the worst. Like, even if it turns out that she's on some like really noble mission, ending the children being sacrificed, or maybe upending the patriarchy of the society, and those are all great. I support all of those referendums. I would vote for those things if they were on the ballot. But she's just awful that she would do this to her daughter and make her daughter do that. That's just, they were having such a good time at the festival.
I know.
The festival was so much fun, you guys. It was so cool to read, and it was. She walked across the plank over the fire pit for G, because he got the fucking curse token thing. And
maybe we should back up and talk about this part.
Yeah, let's back up. That was a really good reading too. I know I put you on the spot and you weren't unprepared for that, but you did really well. I hope that the listeners enjoy that, because it was quite a treat. It was quite an unexpected treat, but well done, lady. You always do such a good job with that stuff.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
It's weird because like when it starts to get emotional, I know that I could really go for it and get like genuinely teary-eyed and put it in my voice, but then I don't know if I could pull it back again.
You have to come back.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to go down that road, because that door might just slam behind me, and then I'm just sobbing through the rest of it, which we fucking heard in the Dobby's death chapter that one time. So.
Boy, that was rough. That was a really rough one.
That one, yeah.
That was hard.
Patrick, I wasn't ready to ugly cry today, so thank you for holding back, I guess. Yeah, that's kind of where it goes. I have this all the time with stuff, because like I can let myself get into it, which is part of why I thought that I wanted to do like performing as a job. But I don't know how people, like, especially in movies, if you get emotional for a scene that's emotional, you gotta like pull it back when they call cut and then do it again like 11 times.
Oh yeah, over and over and over again.
What kind of psychopath can do that? Like, no, I'm sorry. Once that dam is open, that's it. That's a wrap on the rest of the day. Anyway, all right. So let's talk about chapter 14 when we start. Which we begin with our girls all getting their hair braided as they gossip together.
I love this. I love this moment of them getting their hair done, and it's written in such wonderful detail. I love the just the way that it's described how it was actually being done to their hair, how their hair is being braided, and the dyed yarn is being incorporated into their hair with beads and various shells and like little trinkets. And there's a cute little detail that the people that, and not just the braiders, but the braiders specifically, and it's this moment, but it's mentioned that whenever like people come into the palace or to keep, they have to like clog their ears with wax so that the council can still speak freely and won't like be eavesdropped on. And I was like, because when they were talking, I was thinking, y'all in front of company.
Right.
And then like 2 beats later, she mentions the ear. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. This is one of those things where I'm just like, I don't know, man. I hope that works as well as everybody seems to think it works. Because I know I could walk around with my noise canceling headphones on and I still could hear some shit.
Yeah. I had the same thought. And then I remember like and he might just be like, giving me a bunch of tall tales all these years, but Steven gets really bad wax buildup and will like legit like not be able to hear. But he could also just be saying he can't hear me because he doesn't want to hear my nonsense. You know what I mean? So.
The wax is only as bad as I need it to be.
But yeah, they're very excited for this. Oh, you know what else I like too in this early chapter is we get a when they start to the festival, we get this description of the because the festival is one of the only holidays that all 4 religions in the realm recognize and celebrate together.
Right.
So
Mhm.
they've got like this sort of overarching mythology that they all agree to, which is like the big story, like the pelican, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then this breakdown, it's like Clay, Well, Ember, and Wing, I think are the four.
I'm
Like
trying
one
to
is
find the spot where this is talked about, but that sounds right to me. Yeah.
and then like how each like sect sort of, I don't want to say hyperfixates because that sounds so disrespectful to someone's religion. You know what I mean? That sounds really
each one
rude.
obsesses completely over a different thing.
But they all pull like different bits from this sort of larger story, and that's their focus, and that's what their devotion is around. And I just thought that was
Mhm.
really neat how and how it ties to regions as well. Like when she talks about how the people of the wing pick very like pristine, I don't know how else to describe it. I think the word she uses is fastidious, which is a weird word to use for a geographical region, in my opinion. But
Yeah, that is kind of weird. I don't remember that.
right,
We'll get there in a second. We were getting ahead again because we got to back up and talk about the sex. That's what they talk about mostly while they're getting their hair braided.
Yeah, that's true.
I really do enjoy that girl. Emeranya's features bent into a confused frown. You are talking of sex, she said, in her blunt, deadpan way. Is that what New Eve is like in Uluwan? A night for being drunk and making babies?
She's
really just so fucking impatient. Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's just also like really kind of a little like not little, like very pious. She's just very like fucking heathens and sinners, and
we fast and have vigils,
right?
And Maya Zadal is just like, wow, sounds sucky. Cool for you, I guess, lamos. And then they're talking about the wine being filled with tokens, and Tarisai sort of takes pity on her and explains and says, some are good, some are bad. If you have a good token, you can trade it, and a cowrie shell is worth a favor. And she says, from a lover, and Tarisai says, from anyone you like. I wouldn't trade with a boy, she said. Girls are prettier, except maybe Theo. And this is when we finally get confirmation that Theo is indeed a boy, because there have been no pronouns for Theo, even though he's been mentioned like 6 times.
That's right.
So yes, Theo is indeed a gay guy, and everybody knows and nobody cares. And Emeronia is evidently either gay or bi, and nobody cares. So that's cool. Yay.
So now that you mention it, that's like, so now we have someone sort of presenting as being ace. We have someone who's queer, a couple people who are queer, and it's mentioned, but it's not like a lot of fanfare around it. It's just sort of stated sort of very matter of factly, like this is just who it is, that's just who they are, and we're just going to keep moving on. So that's really cool too. Not that I would have been against a lot of fanfare, like I would have also been here for that, but it's nice that it's just sort of like these characters,
everybody's just being like,
they just exist, that's just how it is. These people are people who live, and they're part of our story. So that's pretty cool. Did she catch them having sex in the first chapter, or is that the next
no, that's
one?
later.
Okay,
yeah, that's later. And this is when Maya Zadal says that she had sex with Cameron, and everybody is just like, wait, what? And she says, come on. Everybody knows that council members fuck around. It's not a big deal. And there's Enitawa's quiver. Maya Zadal waited as we watched her taking a languid sip from her chalice and filing her nails with a small knife. Fine, Maya, I'll bite. What is Enitawa's quiver?
She is, I really like Maya.
Yeah, she's funny.
When she finally answers, she's just like, it's just a tree.
And then
Like,
she fucking
bitch.
lets it sit
Right.
dramatically for another minute. Look, between her flair for drama and her horny bitchin' heat deal, I really identify with her quite a lot. I was this kind of teen. I always wanted all the attention, and I wanted to be fucking 24/7, and that would have been
That's
my ideal.
funny. Yeah. So yeah, so she tells, and then I like somebody tells Tara, they're just like, well, when you're in charge and you're the judge, you're not gonna be enforcing that rule, right? Like,
Right.
It's gonna be all good. You're gonna be cool. You're gonna be cool, right?
And Tar has to just sort of be like, ha, because she has no idea what she should do and how she should handle it. So, and it's funny because she's like thinking about what Thaddeus said about keeping order. And it's very ironic that that's what she's like considering. And then later she finds him fucking around. And I'm like, yeah. Thaddeus, what about keeping order, buddy?
How about that?
What's going on?
At one point, somebody says that, like, and I think Tara ends up agreeing that, like, long as they do their day jobs, what they do at night is not a big deal, and it's it'll be fine, long as we show up. I think there's something like our job is to prevent war, so as long as we keep the Empire's sense of, what did she call it, sense of equality, it should matter what we do in private. And I generally agree with that. You know what? Normally. But the last couple of years of the real world,
that wording sense of equality carries a different kind of weight.
And I'm starting to be concerned about what people do at night and in private. Like, I never used to care. But now,
I feel you, man.
Now I'm just like, no. I need to know what you're doing at night. Yeah, I need to know what you get into.
Wandering down the street with crowds carrying tiki torches or what? Because
exactly.
Questions that need answers. So they finish up with their braiding, and she has like a reaction to the candle being so close to her and has to calm herself down.
Yeah.
And then she has this thing with the braider where she says how tight the braids are. Yeah. And her braider is like, well, that is how it's done here. Listen, you're not like one of those country bitches who doesn't keep their hair under control.
It was like I had tumbled into the wrong side of like TikTok or something for a quick second. When the braider started talking about them edges and how you have to have them tight and under control. And then the whole, like, the insult about looking like, too country, and I was just like, God, really?
Not like those unruly edges that sport on the countryside is the way she said it.
I was, for a split second, I was just like, oh, we're doing that too. But then it made me laugh because it is like it felt very authentic. Right. Even though I think there was going more for like a little bit more metaphor than I was giving it credit for. But
do you do edge control? Do you use like product and do any of that?
I have products for it. Actually, I just found a really cool one, and my girlfriend saw it over the weekend, and she was like, "Holy shit, you found this! This is a game changer." I didn't know it was a game changer. But I found some edge control that is black, and then you can also get it in brown.
Interesting.
Yeah, and she was like, "Holy shit!" So she got really excited. Like, she's got a picture of the label so she can get it herself.
Nice.
But like baby hairs and all that stuff, like I don't do all that, and I'm not like really like super concerned about it. But it is you see it.
Oh yeah,
and, it's a very, very real thing.
And then I see the people who are trying to do it, who I'm just like, J-Lo, babe, you don't need that.
Did we already talk about the white girl on TikTok who
sticky bangs?
You guys,
for those who aren't aware what edges are, we should probably inform folks. So edges are like the baby hairs at the edge of your hairline, and if you've got coarser hair, a lot of the time it will kind of crinkle up around your hairline. And especially if you put your hair back a lot and you wear it in like fixed styles that are tight, your hair will break at the spot where your elastics are sometimes.
Mhm.
And so it'll crinkle up right there. And so, especially with Black women, there is a like combing down styling of that portion of the hair that's like a whole separate deal from doing your main head of hair. But white women,
Because we
Like
can't have
clockwork.
shit. We can't even have the small baby hairs on our head. Can't even have that.
white women who do not know what Black women do with their hair will swan in on some shit that's been done and think it's new because they just found it, like
Excuse
stumbling
me.
across the Americas and be like, I discovered this. So there was a girl on TikTok who had some broken hairs at her hairline and smushed them down with gel, and then was like, I'm calling this sticky bangs. And like, to her credit, when people in her comments were like, girl, what the fuck? This is done. What are you talking about? She was immediately like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know.
Was
I'm really
she?
ignorant. I
Okay.
really do apologize. She was
All
like,
right.
did not try and stick up for herself or get defensive at all. She was immediately like, I am so embarrassed. So that was good, at least. But yeah, it was definitely a moment of like, it's something that like I did a little bit here and there because I was breaking my hair really bad wearing bad elastics. And also, if you've got like, if you wear your hair up in elastics, plus you have curly hair, plus you have depression and don't take care of your hair very well, that breakage can get really bad. And so I was having some periods where I was really like needing to do something and was like playing with edges a little bit. But my question is, when I see women who have really laid edges, the amount of product they have to use to keep that down, do they have to reapply all that same amount of product the next day too? Like, doesn't that build up? Or like, how often do you have to wash your hair to deal with all that, like on the very, I feel like you would break out as well in the spots where it is.
I have never been one to have my edges laid. Because I never liked the feel. And I will say the edge control that I have now is so much different than what I remember. Especially when I was like a teenager in high school, like the quality of product that, girls were using is no good. It was just no good. It would be like sticky and flaky.
LA
sometimes, like sometimes it would like be like white flakes.
Yep.
When it dries.
When it dries and then it crunches up.
Yeah. So like all of that, I was just like, no, thank you, ma'am. Nowadays, what the girlies are doing, I don't know. Like, I mean, I watch a lot of weird wig tutorials for some reason. They pop up in my feed all the time. And even though I don't wear them, I'm just fascinated by them.
Yeah, I get that.
And so I watched them like pull the hairs out of the little lace front and then they spray it, with shit. Cover it with makeup. There's all kinds of shit going on. It looks like a lot of work. That's
my thought.
I would imagine, yeah. Like you could probably, when you wash your face, you probably wash your edges and then you wrap your hair up, tie it down.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
And then maybe reapply the edge control like the next day or whatever, I think. But yeah, I'm old. Don't
Look,
get your hip.
I cannot get over how many steps certain things are that don't look like they would be like that difficult to do. I really like, there's some, when you see somebody who's like, their hair's just in a ponytail and they look so chic. And then you like watch them do my ponytail tutorial and it's like 40 steps and 16 different products to smooth everything down exactly. And she uses like 2 different kinds of elastic. Plus there's some little like spacer thing inside to make it look fuller than it is. And she has like a fake hair thing to wrap around the base and it's not actually her hair. And then she edge lays in the front just a little bit. And like all of it comes together into this package that looks effortless and like it's just a ponytail. But that shit is not just a ponytail. That is the kind of work I'd put in my hair for prom when I was a teenager. You know what I mean? And they're just like, oh yeah, this is my casual look. You know, I just wear this when I'm about to go to the store. And I'm like, what? And I have to recall, like, when I was a certain age, I would basically like dress up to go to the store because I looked hot.
Yeah.
Why not make an effort? When you look that hot, it's not that hard.
Why not? Why not make an effort? Why not make an effort? A Natasha Winters story.
these days, it's very much like, why make an effort? I'm still getting old. I'm still just tired, fat, just want to sit. Gonna do all this for what? So that I can walk out to my mailbox? I'm not leaving this house. Get out of here. I don't even go to the store. I sit in my car and I get my pickup brought to my trunk. Thank you very much.
Jesus Christ. For some reason, it just felt much, much darker than I was expecting it to.
Listen, yeah, when we had that snow and ice a couple weeks ago, Owen took, the couple days off work because everything was shut down. And then at the end of 2 days, he was like, I feel like we should go and do some stuff, because we've been really cooped up. And I just sort of like snorted, and he was like, what? And I said, you're saying so cooped up, but this is just my normal life. This is every day for me. And he kind of stopped for a second and was like, huh. I'm like, yeah. And I'm mostly fine with it. I don't want to see people.
Yeah, I was about to say we should do something about that, but I couldn't even finish the whole sentence. It was nonsense. As soon as I started saying it. Yeah, you're fine. You're living a dream right now.
Right? I'm pretty good with it. I live in Texas. Like, there's nothing out there for me.
Yeah, there's really not. No reason for you to be out there. I would be concerned.
I'm good.
You were out there too much.
Anyway, so yeah, everybody is very pleased with how their hair looks. And then we have her going to meet Thaddeus and feeling a little bit guilty because she didn't get as much done during this as she was supposed to because they talk for a lot longer. And all the girls are like making fun of her that she's going to be doing work during this. And they're like, no, that's not what we do here.
Yeah, there was a whole thing too where I think I read something where like this was like a sacred space, the hair braiders, and work wasn't allowed in it. Mm-hmm. So why did he send her there with homework?
Because he doesn't care, because he doesn't know. Probably because he's a dude. I bet he doesn't know about women's hair braiding.
Maybe that makes sense. Yeah, okay. You're right. That actually checks out. Why would he know? As close as they all are, and they live their whole lives together, a man would still be unaware. Even with the Ray, he would still be unaware. He'd be unaware. It just would never register. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it seems like they can like turn the Ray on and off too. Like they're not always just mind reading with each other.
Yeah.
So I assume that they just are like, well, we're not letting men see anything that we say in there because that's our space.
I liked in the chapter that you read when she's calling for Kira and she talks about having to like throw the Ray through like the stone and like she was physically exhausted from the act of like searching for Kira over that distance. I really like that because it's a reminder that it's not just a matter of just being like, oh, suddenly, you know what I mean? Like it takes effort and intention.
And having to force her awake as well. Like, yeah. So, this is when she stumbles across Mbali, who is riding the hell out of Thaddeus, who is growling and like burying his face in her neck.
I was scandalized. I really was. And like, I knew already, that there had, that people on the council hooked up together. We already like got that. I feel like it was made pretty clear. But I still wasn't really ready to witness it, and I wasn't expecting it between these two particular characters, even though I don't know them that well. I think it was Mbali. I was shocked to see her, maybe. We
knew this already, though. When she meets Mbali, she sees her and Thaddeus in Mbali's memories.
But, like, that's sort of, like, peeking into somebody's, memories or whatever.
Sure.
I didn't expect us to like walk in on them.
Oh,
like,
okay, I got you.
In the act. And when I say, especially because it was in Bali, is because I had this seemed a little more careless than I expected. Them hooking up like in a way to be, because Tara runs into like some servant that's just on their way, you know.
Yeah.
I just thought that they would be more careful, you know.
She says something about how the door wasn't closed properly, basically, and the fact that he's like growling, plus he had been sort of the sickness from the travel. I'm gonna guess that he saw in Bali and was like, "Come here," and just dragged her, and then the door like slams but doesn't latch and bounces back open, and nobody notices.
They really are like they are really in the middle of getting on, like, and we find out later when at the festival that they are aware that she caught them.
Yeah.
Even though, unless I missed it, when you read it, it doesn't seem like they are aware of her presence at all.
They're not aware until she talks very loudly to the servant on purpose.
Don't go that
to
way.
Alert them.
Okay.
Are you looking for anointed honor Thaddeus? In 15 minutes, I'm sure you will find anointed honor Thaddeus in the western guest chambers and Mbali in the eastern garden. Behind me, I heard a faint scuffle from the salon.
Right.
I smiled manically at the servant. Off you go. Awkward.
It really was very awkward, even as a reader. Yeah. So after she catches them, I feel like
then we start to get into the
festival, right?
Festival, itself. Yeah. So she's getting dressed and she's talking about the fabrics and stuff and what she's wearing, and she has to wear Swana styles. So that means that there's like all of these beaded bracelets that sort of stack up her arms.
All up in her arms and around her neck. And then Bali is wearing something similar because she's from the same region. And this is when they start telling us about the different religions, the clay, well, ember, and wing, start dancing. And they give us a little bit of background about each of those sects and what they believe. And finally, fastidious realms like Berislav and Blessed Valley appealed to the people of the wing.
I'm trying to, let's see, including priests of ember, which I really do like that. It's not fire or flame or anything. It's ember, which I don't know why.
Yeah, it's pretty neat, right? Yeah.
But okay, so chapter 15, we start off at the festival. Kira is trying to get her to join in dancing. And I love Kira here when she's like talking to her. I'm going to learn it, the Arubo. Why do you always have to memorize everything? Because I'm tired of limits on what I'm supposed to know. Good for her. I love this. She's just like, fuck all y'all. I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out everything I need to know.
I like Teresai. It's kind of like, I think she may have had a little too much to drink, but I'm not going to bring it up. I'm not going to say nothing about it, but I noticed.
And there's this pit that's got fire in it. It's coals. It's a bed of coals. And villages dug the pit to represent Am's journey to the underworld. If a reveler found an unlucky token in their honey wine, they were considered cursed until the next Nuina festival unless a champion crossed the pit on their behalf. A single wooden slab lay across the pit's mouth, making a laughably narrow bridge. It was only for show. Most festival goers would sooner brave a year of bad luck than have a friend cross that deadly oven. When you read that, did you have any inklings that she was going to cross it?
I did not.
I'll tell you what I thought, because I'm still stuck in the patriarchy, was that Sanjit was going to have to cross it on her behalf.
Oh, wow.
She would be it, you know?
I thought that there might be, because this thing that she's got this ongoing fear of fire, from the palace fire, I thought that maybe she would be in danger in some way. Like maybe she would trip, fall. Somebody would have to rescue her, but similar, because I'm also poisoned by the patriarchy. I envisioned her needing to be rescued in some manner from someone, but it turns out she ends up being the hero when it comes to this. Excuse me. And then it changes so quickly, apparently. And there's this Deo. He goes up first. Mm-hmm. And was this rigged? Did he really pull this bean? Or is this just for show?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Dio dancing for the kids.
Oh no, but that's fantastic as well. That's a great moment.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
They're basically doing like kind of a Simon Says thing, but it's a dancing, and he is just going wild, making a fool out of himself in a way that everybody at first is like, should we laugh at this? And then they're like, no. Oh, this is rad, actually. He's very fun. But it takes a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So Dio, he gets the cocoa bean.
Mm-hmm. And it has a well-known meaning.
Mm-hmm.
The future, a future bitter and sweet. That's a token that he can trade, because some tokens you can trade. We talked about like the cowrie shell. Some things you get that are cursed, and you're just kind of like stuck with them unless somebody walks across the pit for you. And then I guess some things you get, because there's a bit later on when Sanji goes to pull, he pulls like treasure. He pulls like gems and rubies and shit.
Yep.
And just tosses them aside. So I'm assuming if you pull one of those, you could just keep them for like the wealth that it comes with or whatever. Right?
I think so, yeah.
But we don't get like a really specific explanation. But yes, Deo goes first, and he pulls this cocoa bean, and it's just, what does he say? I will swallow bitterness so the lives of my people may be sweet. And that is like a traditional speech. So I'm like, well, that was really fortuitous that he would grab a bean that would allow him to make such a proclamation to everybody, right?
That he would grab a bean. Feels like a euphemism somehow.
Ma'am.
I'm just saying what we're all thinking. I'm a truth teller.
But yeah, so he has like it sounds like they have things they're supposed to say, depending on what they draw, I guess.
That would make sense.
And so he gets his little bean, and then he eats it. But I have a question, but you're not going to answer me. But it says he chewed the raw bean, and says to herself, her stomach churned for reasons she could not name. This is, I don't know what exactly this is. Is this her
ominous solemnity? What's not solemnity? Sinister.
It is very sinister.
Foreboding.
And foreboding is the word I was about to give.
Foreshadowing, perhaps.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, is her stomach churning because she's aware on some level of what's coming, or is it just because as she continues to like love him more and more, she gets closer and closer to like fulfilling her mother's wish?
I don't think it's the second one, because the loving him isn't the thing. It's when he loves you and marks you as his own. So her loving him isn't really part of the instructions that she's been given.
Doesn't he always ask her, do you love me now?
He asks her that in order to tell whether it's possible to anoint her. But now she's been anointed, so that's not a thing anymore, really.
So then why does this make her stomach churn? I don't know either. Maybe I guess it could just be just cause. Feels like there should be more. I don't know. But I was very upset.
Him
I
saying
didn't care
that I'm
for it.
eating the bitterness so that their lives can be sweet can also feel like he's preparing to take on something that will be painful, and she just doesn't want to see him put in that position. It could just be like her protectiveness of him that we've seen in the later chapter, her talking about I'll make the world better for you.
That's possible. I think the reason why I didn't think that initially is because I really did take this sort of display that we're watching of, because it is sort of a ritual that they all have to kind of go through, and it feels very like when I joked about is it rigged, it was like half a joke but also kind of half serious, because it feels like when he pulls the cocoa bean, that's like the most perfect thing for him to, as a future leader, to like to say, right? But yeah, it could just be that she's watching him be willing to deal with really bad shit, in order to protect his
shoulder
people.
a burden.
And she's just reacting to his willingness to do that and being concerned about like where that will put him,
Yeah.
All right. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a big black cloud. I just read it as one, which is my nature.
It's, I don't know. I think it's fair the way that's written.
And then there's a really cute moment where a little girl asks for him to make his mask to make it sparkle.
Mm-hmm. And apparently getting touched by that light is considered like really good luck. So everybody's excited that she asked him to do it.
Yeah.
And then it's her turn to get a token. And this fucking is so annoying. So a small sunstone erupting with fiery light, a small hole had been bored into the gem as if meant for a chain. The heat of skin seared deep in its memory, along with the pound, pound, pound of a strong, stubborn heart. The elders seemed confused for a moment, their immense wooden masks bobbing in conference. Dominance, one of them intoned at last. That is the traditional meaning of such a token, as sunstones rest on the brows of errant emperors. But you are a girl, and so the meaning refers to your proximity to greatness.
I did not love that.
Perhaps bear the fruit of dominance.
I didn't love this. I didn't love it.
It's so annoying.
Like, I get, I understand that this is like part of the book, and we're supposed to, I think, be really annoyed here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So job well done. Super annoyed. Your proximity to greatness. That's just really fucking rude.
And the way it says he bowed his head coyly and everybody around them starts like giggling. And she's realizing that like obviously other people have heard about the rumors. And finally Kira just goes and when she looks over, Kira is just laughing and rolling her eyes, and all of a sudden she feels way better.
Yeah.
And she makes a little moment here.
Yeah, she does too. I love that. There's a line after Kira laughs, and Terasai says, "My shame fell away," like the laughter of her friend. At just the absurdity of what just happened, and then the way everyone reacted to it. I really love that.
Yeah,
but yeah, she's like, "All right, well, I heard your fucking thing that you said, Deo. Watch me." She tells everybody that she will bear fruit with her scepter as your judge. And maybe they'll be my only children.
There's something about just adding that, just being like, what do you think of that?
And then, I love it says, and without rushing.
Yes.
She like calmly, slowly goes and like gets her little thing, puts it in her pocket, gets her crown, because after each sort of like proclamation, you get like a little crown. That like a kid or somebody comes and puts on your head. She goes and gets a little crown, and then like just walks calmly back to her seat while everybody is just dead quiet. It's pretty good.
And then Sanjeet.
Yeah.
He gets a skull.
Yeah.
Your hands were made for death. A masked elder said simply, there is no other interpretation. You may not trade this token. And Sanji, everybody else is like, well, that's not fair. And Sanjeet's like I didn't already know this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want this, but this is what Am has decided. And I'm just going to embrace it on behalf of other people not getting their hands dirty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he kneels to get his crown, and the little girl who's supposed to put it on his head loses it.
She's terrified of him.
Mm-hmm.
And this was heartbreaking because we know that he sees himself as only a killer,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it feels like he's through Tarasai and guess maybe the rest of the council, maybe a little bit over the last couple of years, he started to think of himself as being more than just that. Like started to think that it was possible to be something else, possible to be the healer that he wants to be. And then you go and you have this ceremony and they're all just like, nah, you're just this thing,
Yeah.
and he just resigns himself like, and it just like, fine. And then this little girl is so terrified of him that she can't speak. She can barely move. She's just staring at him. And then she just drops the little crown and runs like screaming away while he's just standing there in front of everybody. Like, no, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. She says something, crown his anointed honor. I don't want to. No, Princess Bear, don't hurt me. She burst into tears and bolted back into the crowd.
Yeah.
And everybody is like sort of gathering with Dio and arguing with the elders that there has to be a different interpretation. And while they're all busy with that, Tarisai just heads right on over to the pit.
Yeah.
The pit full of her worst fear.
And it feels like it happens before she even realizes what she's doing.
Yeah,
like she's
agree.
just on her way there. She describes it as just being like everything around her faded into white noise. She's tunnel vision. I have to go do this thing for him, and I have to go do it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really fucking scary. She doesn't have any shoes on.
Nope, she barefoot.
So she's walking across this fucking wooden plank over open fire. It's so narrow, she's got to do one foot in front of the other, which means she has to look down at the thing she's terrified of.
Absolutely not.
And by the time they all realize what's happening around her, she's already on her fucking way.
Yep.
Yeah. And then something weird happens with her over the fire.
Yeah, this is weird, right?
Yeah. She says, I realized the true reason I feared the fire. She starts hearing something saying, hours, know? And she thinks to herself, like, the fire knows. The fire recognizes me for what I really am, which is, what?
Weird, right? Yeah. Fire would not hurt me because fire had made me. And someday, made of me, I will have you once again.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. She says that it claimed me as a daughter. It crackled and commanded that I burn and destroy. I just don't, I don't like it.
Agree. Yeah.
I don't like it. And then she gets to the other side and they all come and like grab her. She's low-key a little bit on fire, a little sincere.
Yeah.
Sparks on the,
Am I on fire? Only a little. only smoking here and there. Yes.
Meanwhile, people are like stamping out flames behind her. And poor Sanji is just standing there frozen, looking at her. He can't believe, he cannot believe that she has done this for him.
Yeah.
Like he's like stunned, like genuinely stunned. I think she even says he has like tears in his eyes or something. And she makes there's a line in there somewhere, I don't see it, but something about how the mask had fallen from his face. You know, that mask that he puts on.
Water pooled in his eyes. The mask had fallen from his face, replaced with shocked disbelief and a simmering passion that made my knees weak.
There it is. That's the one. That's the one. Yeah.
Listen, I get it.
And then she tells everybody that, you know, she's broken the curse. And she says that his hands were made for life, not death. Bear witness. And then she throws his little skull thing that he pulled into the flames. And she gets the last crown and she places it on his head. Yeah.
And so he goes to the gourd to get his token. And he pulls out a ruby, and they're like, "Ooh, nice one." And he's like, "Chuck."
Not what I'm looking for.
And then he fishes in there again, and he pulls out an emerald, and that shit is giant. And they're like, "Well, nope, Chuck." And he goes through and goes through and goes through and goes through, and finally he pulls out a cowrie shell, and is like, "Peace." And takes off, and everybody's just standing there with this like dripping gourd that's been eviscerated with no treasures remaining, and are like, "Okay, well, I guess that's that then."
Right, I guess we're just in this portion of tonight's festivities. I like later on too that she tells them, I guess it's when they're out together alone. She says something like, "The villagers are like, love you so much, you left a small treasure for them." Because I guess it was just like open for anybody to grab.
It's like a pinata.
So, kind of gotta love that.
So then we have this really interesting moment because Sanji goes off into the distance and she's like thinking to follow him, but Dayo interrupts and he wants her to dance with him. And there is this like performative quality to the way they're dancing together. And she's like, "This feels really suggestive, but it's never been like this between us." And I don't feel like he thinks it is. What's going on here? And she feels really weird about it.
Yeah. It definitely feels like the expectation of everyone around them for what they're supposed to be to each other, then coupled with the token that she pulls that just is sort of like, well, there it is. The gods are saying, you know, everybody already thinks it, and now she's pulled this fucking dominant stone or whatever. That's like the last nail in the thing. So we gotta do it now while everybody's watching, like, you know. But it's really sweet the way he's coaxing her to dance because she doesn't want to dance. She didn't want to dance with Kira either. She keeps telling everybody like she doesn't dance. She doesn't know how to dance. And he's telling her, "You can dance, and I've seen you do it. And just follow me. Just follow me. Don't look at the crowd. Just look at me." So they're having this really sweet moment. But you're right. It doesn't feel like I thought there was going to be some heat, you know, between the two of them, but there really isn't any of that sort of like strong sexual tension between the two of them. And I thought maybe like if we were going to do that, this is where it would happen. But yeah, she says, I think she calls it like insincere, you know, the way our bodies are moving together.
The intimacy we shared had never invoked the heat between our legs. I loved him, would die for him. But this new language, the message we sent with our bodies as we danced, felt insincere, staged, as though we were acting out parts the world expected us to perform. And she pulls away from Dio at the end of the song and like runs off.
Yeah.
And later on, when she like comes back, she's expecting him to look a little maybe annoyed, and instead he just looks relieved.
Yeah. Because he was we find out later, but yeah, he was forcing it as well. And when he realizes that that's not what she sees in him, it's like this weight off his shoulders, because imagine what he must have been feeling like what he must have been carrying, thinking, you know, he probably thought that she had no idea that he didn't feel that way, and that maybe she was just as wrapped up in the expectation as everybody else was, and him not wanting to disappoint her, and also like maybe probably embarrassed. So that moment of them realizing that they actually are on the same page must have just been
It's so reassuring.
And then she stabbed him.
I know. You guys.
He's so sweet. I like him so much.
Dio is such a cinnamon
I
roll.
like him so much.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she dips as soon as the song breaks and she can get away, and she goes out looking for Sanjeev. That's where she wants to be. That's who she wants to be with, and she finds him like out sitting somewhere by himself. Yeah, she says they lunged for the jewels you threw away, and he just says, "Good for them."
So yeah, she comes up and he's like in the midst of working on something. And as he's doing this, he's talking about that he thinks she's Aritsar's best hope. I think there are people in power who see what I see, and they are scared witless. And I think I've loved you since the night you pulled a shackle off my arm.
This is it, y'all.
This is it.
This is it. We're finally getting there.
Mm-hmm.
And she asked him, "Which laws would you break for me?" And he says, "Your pick."
And then she says so weirdly, "I want to be responsible." And he says, "We'll be careful." And I was like, oh. And she says, "No, I meant I want to be responsible for you, for your good dreams, your nightmares, G. I want to know them all. I won't always know how to help, but I want to be there for all of it. As my counsel sister." My nose wrinkled with distaste, and he chuckled. I love that. She's just like, "Oh, no."
She says, "I've come to claim that cowrie shell. Suddenly I was airborne." And that's just how it happens sometimes. Sometimes you just get swept up. Yeah, and then they have this really like sweet makeout section. He has made, what he's been tinkering with is that chain from his mother or his ama.
Yeah.
His ama is mother.
Ama.
Right?
Yeah.
And he's giving it to her, and he has he put the cowrie shell on the bracelet?
Yeah, he's attached the cowrie shell to it. Yeah. And she gives him the Fruit of Dominance Sunstone. And at first he's like, "That isn't supposed to be traded." And she says, "No, but the cowrie shell is. You must take something in return." And he's like, "All right, fine."
I love too that she's like mocking the elders, because when she first finds him, she tries to talk about that. She's just like, why do the elders get to say what we're gonna do and what it means? Who are those assholes anyway? Fuck them. When I'm High Lady Judge, I'm gonna change it. And then she says to him, "Don't let me forget."
I forgot she says that. Yeah.
Which is, fair, because, she does the whole thing with her memory, but also just really, really funny, because I took it as a literal, like, make a
I'm
note.
gonna get caught up with other stuff, so yeah, if you could just put that into our calendar there for Siri to pop up one day. And then they kiss, and I really do appreciate the mention. I had kissed boys before. We all had at the children's palace in the games children play when they're bored. Every touch had been a dare, a cheap thrill, a way to flaunt our developing bodies and to sample adulthood.
Yeah.
This kiss was different. And I like that. I think a lot of times authors can fall into a bit of a trap of making first kisses these like incredibly important moments that are carrying so much pressure that kids who read them feel like there is something to that that's like a major rite of passage. And it's not necessarily always like that. Like there are kissing games and the old cliche of like playing doctor and whatever. And there's all kinds of things that, you know, kids know before they actually get really involved with somebody.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that this doesn't have the pressure of it also being her first kiss ever.
Agreed.
You know?
And I like too that it's mentioned that the way it's said is very casual. She's just like, you know, we all, you know, experimented. We all played around. Because you think about them and the way that these children specifically have grown up. Like, of course they would have. You know, of course they would have. And to just try to pretend like none of that would have happened just seems sort of like unrealistic, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, it would be unrealistic even with ordinary kids. And then these kids are linked by the ray, which encourages them touching one another and sleeping in piles, basically. So it feels like even more obvious that this would have been a thing that would come up.
Yeah. So, I think, oh, she's telling him about the tree.
Right. And he knows what it is and kind of gives her a look, and she has to be like, I haven't been there before, because he's sort of got this like, oh, really? You know, sort of energy to him in that moment.
He's like, yeah, I've heard of it.
And then all of a sudden, their council brothers and sisters chime in on the ray and are just like, yo, hey, guys, where are you? You all right? And they're like, oh, okay, I guess we got to go back.
They try to come back looking all like super cash. No big deal. We were just in the woods. It's fine. We weren't up to nothing. And everybody on it is, everybody else is like a 90s studio audience. They were like, woo!
Oh my God. I'm so glad that's not a fucking thing anymore.
My God. It lasted so long. It really did.
It was over like nothing sometimes too, you know? It was just whatever. So when she comes, because like he says something about how, well, we can let them know it doesn't matter, like, but when she imagines Dio being upset, he's like, all right, we'll keep it to ourselves.
Yeah.
But when she comes back, she realizes that he doesn't look upset at all. And she's very relieved herself. And this is when Mbali and Thaddeus call her over. And for some reason, it doesn't occur to Tarisai what they want to talk to her about. And I'm like, girl, come on. She thinks they're about to yell at her for leaving the festival. And I'm like,
yeah, she's already apologizing for ducking out.
That's not what this is. It's one of the few moments where I'm like, you need to use your logic, sweetie, because come on now.
I like to really quick. I just want to mention when it finally comes out, and Bali is like, "We know you saw us," and then there's this fucking long ass pause.
Yep.
Until like she says, and Bali waited until I could have no doubt about what she meant. Like Teresa, just gonna stand there and play dumb. I have no idea what you're talking about.
What? Saw? I don't see anything ever. I'm blind. Completely don't know what you're talking about. And Thaddeus isn't even looking at her and is like, I assume you've told your counsel. And she's realizing like, oh, this must suck so bad for him because he still has to teach me, but I saw him buck ass naked. Doing a thing he's not supposed to do, and now he has to go back to teaching me, and that must be really fucking awkward.
This is going to be awful for both of us. But as far as we don't see her tell anybody.
No.
Right?
Yep.
They've assumed that she's told everybody. She doesn't correct them. She doesn't, unless I missed it, she doesn't say, no, I didn't tell a soul.
No, there's kind of an impression here that she doesn't think she should speak back to them. Like, she's here because they called her and they're going to tell her what it is and send her away. And it's not really like a conversation, you know? That's the impression that I got more.
It says at one point, Thaddeus tells her, because he's like, can you please basically make sure that Deo doesn't just blurt this out to his father? Like, can I get you to do that? And that's like the most shocking thing for Teresa, outside of the fact that she's like bumped into them, but that they're asking her to like actively help them keep a secret from the emperor. Like that's a huge, huge, huge deal that we don't even really get into in this part of the book because it just kind of goes on to the next part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a big fucking deal.
I find it sort of surprising that she is surprised because it's not supposed to be allowed. So I would have assumed that I'm not supposed to tell anybody. You know, like, sure, everybody can know it's an open secret that people have dalliances, but it's an open secret that it happens, not necessarily the specifics of who is and when and what's, you know, like
who's dallying with who.
Yeah. So for me, I was sort of like, well, you know that this is technically treason, what they're doing. Like, we read that earlier. So of course they want to keep it secret, just as best practice. Like, aside from anything in particular that could be going wrong from, because she thinks to herself, the thought is, why would Olugbade be worried about his council members having a dalliance? What threat could it pose to him except the mild scandal of court gossip? And I mean, I don't know. It just seems like if everybody knows when you're not supposed to, that's just a bad thing. It doesn't feel like there needs to be anything specific.
Well, this is, I have to admit to some confusion here about this, because we know that there's an expectation for one of the women on the council to bear the next heir.
Sure.
So I guess if I'm understanding correctly, the assumption is, or maybe the conceit is, the prince or the emperor gets to have a dalliance because he needs to produce an heir.
Sure.
And that is sort of accepted. And, you know, we all kind of like agree to just pretend it's not a big deal. But then other relationships on the council are the ones that would really be held up to scrutiny and would really be like, oh, that's absolutely not allowed. It's like, you know, it's okay for the emperor.
That's not you assuming anything. We were explicitly told that's how it works.
Okay.
That the emperor is allowed to sleep with any of the women, but they are not allowed to sleep with anybody else.
Is it any of the women? He can sleep with any of them?
It's all of them are meant to be available to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't love that.
Yeah. That's what Terasai felt like really weird about it being suggested that they were kind of a harem for Dio. Remember?
Right.
In that, like, sort of, what's the word I want? Like a lecture they were being given.
Yeah, I think I took it as more, not took it, but just like misunderstood it to be, he would pick like one woman of the council, you know, to be like the mother of his child and his, I don't know, his boo thing, whatever. but the idea
the 90s came back for a second.
well, we were just talking about studio audiences.
True.
But the idea that and that the emperor could just pick and choose of the women, like at his discretion. I don't like it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I find fucked up is like, I could pick any of them. They're not allowed to fuck around though and get pregnant by anybody but me. And then the men who are also not supposed to be fucking around are, I guess, just celibate.
Yeah, it
male
sounds
members
like
of the council, which just all just feels extremely unreasonable. You know, of course everybody is having dalliances. Like, what are you kidding me? This isn't going to work. This is not sustainable.
I also like the fact that we get to say dalliance as much as we have.
Dally. But yeah, so like without all that in mind, I just thought it was strange that she is surprised they want her to keep it secret. You know what I mean? It just felt like, of course they do. Like, this is not, sure, it may be something that everybody knows people do, but that doesn't mean that you go walking around talking about it and let folks know with no, I don't know. It just seemed weird to me. Her whole thing here is weird though, because the fact that it doesn't occur to her what they want to see her about either. I was also like, what, did you burn that memory away?
I wonder if it's not so much that they want to keep this secret from the emperor that's got her fucked up. I mean, it's definitely written like that, but maybe she's surprised that, I don't know how to say this. It sounds crazy now. Maybe she's surprised that that they would even confide in her that it needs to be a secret. And that sounds crazy because in how else would she know to keep it, right? A secret. But what I mean is that maybe she feels like, oh, they're pulling me into this thing now. Like now I'm a part of their secret. You know,
I get what you're saying.
As opposed to treating it almost like, oh, she's just a kid. She can't really hurt us. Nobody's going to really believe what she has to say. You know, they're just children. We're not even going to dignify acknowledging that she, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So maybe she was just sort of like, oh shit, these two fucking real council members are now drawing me into their shit. Now I'm keeping a secret from the emperor too, you know?
Yeah, I can see what you mean.
I think it's, do you think it's weird that she hasn't shared it with anybody else on the council?
No, because I thought, that this isn't something people should know, so you didn't share it. And so
even
them
as close
asking
as
you
they
to
all
be
are?
discreet and not tell also makes sense.
Yeah.
You know?
I think I was surprised that she didn't at least tell like one person, like cheat, you know, or Kira even, you know, just because of I don't know, maybe I'm just a bad person. But like, how do you not just be like, holy fuck, you'll never guess what I just saw to your bestie? Like,
yeah, it feels like she's not as gossipy as you or I am.
yeah.
In
Or Maya. If
Maya would have absolutely have fucking told everybody. It would have been too damn late for them. That would be a done deal. Actually, no, you know what? I say that. But Maya's out here fucking around. So I bet she'd have just stood in that doorway until they noticed her and gave them a big wink. And then just sauntered away. And as that servant came up, she'd be like, why don't you come with me? I want a drink.
How funny is that? That's really good.
She'd be like, let me know when this room is free.
She'd have been like, yeah, that table works good, don't it? I mean, that shit's 30 as fuck, ain't it?
Oh, man.
So yeah, okay. So as she talks to them, and they excuse her, and then
this is when that sweet smell overcomes her.
Yeah, and she bumps into like an elder wearing a mask, and the person seems like really familiar, but she can't put her finger on exactly like who and what. Her head,
they're wearing a mask.
Yeah, her head gets starts to get all woozy. She can't really think clearly. And this person with the mask is holding another one of those gourds and asking her to like take a drink. And she's just kind of trying to be like, I already did this. I already got my token. Like, I don't understand. I'm not supposed to have more than one. And the smell comes over her again, and she relaxes, and she recognizes the feeling. She says that she felt this way before, small and submissive. And she's like almost watching herself from outside of her body, like put her hand in, and like dipping into the vessel, getting the liquid. And she asks what it is, and the elder person is just trying to tell her, like, drink, you need to drink, you need to drink. And she's having a harder and harder time to think. And then she recognizes the smell, and it all kind of like comes back. Yeah. And she remembers everything that she had burned out of her memory, like all comes back. And she hears, I guess she hears it. It says, this will be the day the lady will be so pleased. Won't you come out and play when you love him the most, and when he anoints you as his own, I command you to kill him. And then she did, yeah, it all comes back.
This part killed me. The lady took my hand. Her wish draped around me like a mantle, and I sighed with horrified relief, like a warrior who had cheated death too many times. A fugitive tired of running. I was so hurt when you chose to forget me, the lady whispered. Your own mother. But I forgave you once I realized the truth. You rebelled because you are me. She laughed softly. Strong-minded, independent. I cannot fault you for mirroring my strengths. And she gives her a dagger and says, it's time.
This is so uncomfortably manipulative of this woman. The way she talks to her daughter, who I understand is, as far as I understand, at least as far as an 100% human.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that she talks to Terasai as like as a person, but also a thing,
Yep.
at the same time. She talks to her like, I know she calls her, what did she call her?
Maid of me.
Maid of me.
Mm-hmm.
That like she's not even her own real person.
Yeah.
Tarasai is only this thing that she's created to fulfill this very specific, thing.
Yeah.
And when you think about how sometimes parents can be like that with their children, they're like actual human flesh and blood children. They get so hyper focused on what they think they want their children to be or do or whatever. They can't see anything else. And then when the child doesn't perform that or fulfill that, then the child like ceases to have any value. It is upsetting. It's upsetting. Like, I thought I wanted the lady and Terasai to spend more time together. I thought I wanted it to be like a healthier relationship or like turn, and maybe it will, but when they are together, it is really uncomfortable to read. It is. And now I might have a lot of my own shit going on, but it is just, she's so creepy. She's so
That's not the word I was expecting, but yep, that's fair.
So creepy. And like she kisses Terasai's forehead. She kissed my forehead and my heart grew as hollow as the drinking gourd. That is not what's supposed to happen when your mother kisses your forehead.
Nope. But there it is. Yeah, this is it, the whole thing, her like desperation for her mother's approval as well, and like yet not wanting to do this thing and not understanding why she's in this position and blaming herself for what she is when she was put here. How is this her fault? It's not, but it's what she is, and there's no like escaping that. It was explicitly why she was created. I really feel for Tarasai. It's super unfair.
Yeah. And the fact that it I mean, she didn't kill Deo, as far as I know. He survived this attack. I don't know if he's going to survive the night, but he survived the attack. But like, her plan fucking worked. It got really, really close to fucking working.
What do you think about the fact that Dio said you remembered and you didn't hit my heart?
I'm wondering if while she first stabbed him or whatever, because it kind of like, it feels like she like blanked out a little bit. So maybe as there was a period where we didn't see in the book, but maybe he's trying to talk to her and she's like just so out of her mind, she's not herself. And he's calling her and calling to her. And maybe at the last minute, she remembers. When he says you remembered, maybe he means you remember, like, if not who you really are, who you've been with me in the time that I've known you. You've remembered yourself, like that version of yourself. And so at the last minute, she, remembers who she is and goes an inch or whatever to the left or to the right.
When he also says, which means you're stronger than she is. And she had been like calling to her mother in this weird monotone. So I'm assuming he's referencing the fact that she's calling to her mom. But it's weird because he says you're stronger than she is. Like he knows what's going on. You know what I mean?
I was wondering if I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, but I was wondering if she was there somehow. If the lady was there somehow.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Gotcha. Like, it doesn't make any sense that she would be
directing from the shadows.
Yeah, but like it does. But like, I mean, they leave the keep and they're out. They're out at this tree. So I mean, I guess technically the mother could have been like hiding out somewhere.
True. Yeah.
But it felt like there was a real battle going on, if not between Terasai and her mother, maybe. No, I think it's her mother. I think in some capacity, maybe he witnessed, the struggle between them. Maybe, yeah. Oh, what if something really, really cool happened where it was, well, no, it doesn't make any sense. I'm going to keep that to myself. Never mind. We're out of time anyway. But
yeah, I want to say hi to new patrons before we wrap this one up too. So is there anything else you want to add before we?
No, I just, no. Sorry about the chapter mix up, guys. It sucked too because it was really hard to stop when I stopped. Like, I was super proud of myself because that was a hard place to stop. And then I didn't have to fucking stop. So,
oh, wow. Here we are. Live read saving the day as usual. All right. So new patrons, get ready, everybody, because we've got Amber Sanchez, Antoinette K, and Laura Bienoff.
Yay!
Welcome to all of you delightful people. Appreciate y'all so much. I got my double order of postcards from Moo. So I'm going to be sending out 2 this month to make up for the ones that I missed last month. And I hope that y'all are hanging in there as we go through the last throes of winter. At least if you're in the northern hemisphere, it has been dark and bleak. But we're coming out through the other side into those sunny, longer days, and I just can't wait. Normally, this doesn't get to me too bad, but with the dogs, it's like somehow I'm hyper aware of the weather and sunlight all the time because I'm always like, they're out in it a lot during the day, So I'm always just like, sense. Are they okay? Is everything comfortable? Are they like, hiding in the doghouse? Should I bring them inside? So, and speaking of them, tomorrow night, Rashawn and I are going to be recording an Unsober episode about dogs. So if you're a $20 and up, a super spoiled patron is the name of that tier. Come and join us while we go wildly off topic, probably again, because let me tell you, the Facebook Marketplace episode was probably 60% Facebook Marketplace. It was more than half, but it was certainly
I don't think you'll have any trouble because you have a lot of dog content. So I don't think you'll have any trouble staying on topic for this one.
I'm really hoping that I can figure out a way to get Owen to bring the puppies in and I can introduce them.
You should do that. Yeah, you should do that. I don't know. I've been reading some of your Facebook posts though.
It's tricky. Like they've been doing better. I'm getting them acclimatized. Good. But they haven't been in, well, Pippin's been in this room a ton, but Sam hasn't. So I feel like we lead him in here and I'm going to want to introduce him and he's just going to be like, what's that? What's this? What's that? And I'm going to drag him over and he will not be engaged. So, but we'll see.
And they're getting so big.
They're getting real big.
I can't believe how big they got so fast.
I've been so tempted about keeping Sam. But because they're going to be so big, I just can't see it. You know how small our house is.
Yeah, that would be a whole lot.
Yeah. So I just don't see it. But I really will be sad when they don't have each other to play with anymore. Anyway. All right, guys. I love you all very much. I hope you all are enjoying this. Until next time. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
was an Unspoiled Network podcast.